Hello and welcome. Today we're going to see if I found a drugstore dupe for the very popular Mercier Light Revealer Tinted Moisturizer. A week ago I did a tinted moisturizer review of 5 different popular tinted moisturizers and ranked them from 1 to 5. And the Mercier came in at number 2. So I sought out a dupe for this to see if we could get a little bit of savings, and I think I found one at half the price. The Neutrogena Healthy Skin Glow Shears is only $14 and it's a drugstore find. Today I'm going to show you a side-by-side comparison of each of these moisturizers, and you and I will both decide if this is an actual dupe. I've completed my skincare routine this morning and applied my SPF. I'll leave my skincare routine down in the description box below. And I used an untinted SPF so that we get a true indication of what these tints look like on real skin. I'm also going to apply a primer. I've gotten lots of tips from you that applying just a little bit of primer before you go in with a foundation, tinted moisturizer, or skin tint really helps your makeup last throughout the day. I don't typically use a primer. I was using the Mercier, but I've run out, and I'm really curious to see if using the Euphoria will help this makeup look last a little bit longer. I used to use the Euphoria just on its own for a little blurring effect. In fact, I've actually been really enjoying it because it does have a bit of tint to it and it's super hydrating and it slightly blurs imperfections on the skin. So I'll apply a thin layer of that. Since these tinted moisturizers are actually moisturizers, I don't need too heavy a layer of primer, because this is extremely moisturizing. I'll show you the texture. It's super creamy. It does have kind of a funny scent to it. It reminds me of the scent of Play-Doh. So that's not really all that appealing, but it has lovely hydration. And like I said, I've been using it on its own instead of using any kind of a tinted moisturizer or cover up during the day. Just for a little skin perfecting, I have a breakout going on right here. I'm going to use the Bye Bye Dark Spot Corrector by It's Cosmetic. I've been loving this lately. It's very light under eye concealer, very, very lightweight, but it also helps just with a little bit of correction on those spots that you have the discoloration. I like to apply this with the doe foot on the back of my hand just so I don't get too much. It is a fairly thin consistency, so you really can't over apply it. It has a little brush applicator on the end. My only concern is how to clean this brush applicator. It's a little bit of a problem, but as you can see, it just covers up the veins in my upper lid and brightens up my under eye really quickly, really easily. Like I said, it's super lightweight. I also have permanent spots where my glasses sit that I try to cover up on the days that I'm wearing my contacts. And a little bit of discoloration because I'm not using my hydroquinone right now. You can see a little bit of my melasma popping up over here. I'm not sure it's technically melasma, but I always get the same dollar spot right here. And I have a little breakout going on, and I'm going to be putting a colloidal patch on that tonight and hopefully getting that to clear up. My mature skin does break out every once in a while. I'm so surprised. I never broke out as a teenager. So I guess it's my turn. All right, so just a little spot corrector. So let's see what the ratings are for each of these tinted moisturizers. For the Neutrogena, on Target, it gets a 4.1 star rating. On Sephora and Ulta, the Mercier gets a 4.4 star rating. So this seems to be a little bit more popular than the Neutrogena Glow Shears. Let's see what the company says about each one of these products. The Neutrogena is a natural-looking tinted moisturizer makeup with antioxidants and SPF 30. The SPF in both of these products is a chemical SPF. This is SPF 30, whereas the Mercier is an SPF 25. I always add an additional SPF right after my skincare. Moisture provides sheer natural coverage with a touch of shimmer. Now, I think it's because of this touch of shimmer is why it competes so well with the Mercier. It's a unique blend of makeup, sun protection, vitamins A, C, and E. So it has a bit of skin-loving ingredients in this as well. Let's see what Mercier says about the light revealer. This has luminescent pearls, a hint of radiant color while reflecting light to brighten dull skin. It certainly does. French algae helps visibly improve the natural radiance, so a little bit of skin-loving ingredients in here. Plant-based hydration promotes water retention by supporting skin's resilience and vitality. As I mentioned, both have SPF 25, SPF 30, and the Neutrogena, of course, as a drugstore tinted moisturizer, only has 3 shades, whereas the Laura Mercier has 14. So a little bit more flexibility in finding something that will match your skin tone with the Laura Mercier. Let's look at the consistency of each of these products side by side. I'll do a little swatch. The Laura Mercier is extremely creamy, and I find the Neutrogena to be very similar in consistency. They're both very creamy formulas. Let's see how they sheer out. In my opinion, the Neutrogena is a little more pigmented, and the Laura Mercier sheers just slightly more, but it's a very subtle difference. As you can see, these are great matches in both consistency and coloration. Fair 10. My shade in the Neutrogena is Ivory to Fair 10, and in the Laura Mercier, I wear Cameo. So let's get these on and see what they look like side by side. I'm going to be somewhat conservative because in my video a couple weeks ago, I think I used a little bit too much of the Laura Mercier and it got pretty radiant. I'm going to use just fingers to apply both of these because if I'm doing a tinted moisturizer, I really am not planning a full-on makeup look. I'm just trying to get out the door with a tinted sheer moisturizer. So this is the Laura Mercier. And a little bit does go a long way. Both of these are super flexible formulas. And as you can see, almost undetectable when it first goes on. So let's see how this dries down as I continue with the rest of my makeup, and we'll do a side by side. I am going to blend the chin area. That is one issue I have because from here, the discoloration of my neck from here to here is somewhat significant. I am working on that with a bit of in-office treatments. Several of you have noted that there is a difference in discoloration between my face and my neck, which is true. I'm going to apply an everyday shadow look from my Too Faced Naturals palette. This is kind of a light satin finish, one of my favorite go-to palettes. I always apply for my everyday look a bit of heaven all over the lid. I have fairly small eyes and fairly deep set eyes with what I would call double hoods. So I try to brighten up the eye as much as I can so that my lid shows a little bit more. I use a combination of Silk Teddy and Honey Pot over the mobile lid just to brighten things up and give a little pop forward. It just makes my lid stand out a little bit. And then on the corners, I always come in with a little bit of Cashmere Bunny. And then blend these out. This really is my everyday go-to look for shadow. I'm most comfortable in neutrals, but this just gives my eyes a little bit of pop. Sometimes on the lower lid, I'll add just a little bit and blend it out of the Sexpresso. I don't use tight lining or an under eye liner because it tends to close up my very small eyes, but every once in a while I'll come in with a little bit of shadow, just in the corners. And then I blend that out really well because I don't like that harsh look that it gives. but it does give my eyes a slight definition. And a little bit of drama. I'm going to use a little bit of my Maybelline Falsy Surreal mascara. This has been my go-to daily mascara. A very natural look. And I've been powdering under my eye area because this is giving me, as the tube is drying down, a little bit more fallout than I had originally experienced. So I'm just going to powder with a little bit of the Hourglass Ambient Light powder. In fact, I'm going to do that all over my face because these are a little bit radiant for my preferred daytime look. I'm going to give a little bit of powder, light powdering, all over my face just to tamp down the shimmer. But as you can see, this is drying down to almost an identical look on both sides. I think we've actually found a dupe. Let me know what you think so far. And I'm going to powder this down just with a light dusting of powder. The Ambient Lights powder is my absolute favorite for either cutting the shine on a foundation or a sunscreen. See if we can blend my neck a bit. So what do you think? Laura Mercier, Neutrogena's Healthy Skin Glow Shears. I'm going to come in with a little bit of blush. I'm going to do some contouring as well, which I don't typically do. I'm using the Charlotte Tilbury's Matte Beauty Blush Wand. Now, I find this a little bit fussy because the cap gets really gooey and messy. And it dispenses, it has one of those on-off dispensers, which is not my favorite. So just push up the littlest bit and then close it up immediately. I apply a little bit to the back of my hand and I cap it up immediately. This stains if it gets on anything, so be very careful with it. And I just tap this into my cheek area, and it, as you can see, it's super pigmented. So I have to definitely shear this out. But once I do, I think I got a little bit too much on my right side. Let's even that up. We're gonna have lots of blush on today, but it's a very pretty color once it shears down. And I always brush up with my blush, so I'm not bringing my face down. And I brush it, make sure I get it into the temple area and away from my marionette lines. I'm going to add a little bit of the Westman Atelier Peau de Pêche. I use this as a little bit of contouring. Not every day, but it's summertime and I kind of want that more warmed up look. Kind of a bit of sun kiss. For my lip today, I'm going to use one of my favorites. This is the Charlotte Tilbury Pillow Talk. I think it's called Superstars, Starlights. I can never remember the name of this, but this is one of my favorite go-to lipstick / lip glosses. Just gives a really pretty natural look. So what do you think? I'm going to go finish getting ready for my day and I'll come back in about 8 hours to show you the wear test. We'll see how they wore, did they last, and we'll also see if they settled in my fine lines, and we'll do a final analysis of whether we think we found a dupe for the Laura Mercier Light Revealer using the Neutrogena Healthy Skin Glow Shears. It's about 9.5 hours after I applied both of these tinted moisturizers, so it's time for the check-in. I had a very busy day planned, but it kind of fell apart because it rained. We were going to go to the farmer's market and we were going to go to the little farm and feed all the animals with some friends of mine and her children, but that didn't work out. So it was a pretty much in the house kind of day. Normal, just doing house chores and catching up with friends. I had a really nice Zoom call with some of my OT friends that are all retired now, so we had a really good catch up. But let's check in with this makeup look to see if this is an actual dupe. Remember, this is the Laura Mercier and this is the Neutrogena Healthy Skin Glow Shears. Let's check in and see what's going on. I've had a peek in my mag mirror, which is never fun at the end of the day. I have some fallout from my mascara, but let's just skip that and see how this wore. The first thing I wanted to do is take a look at the creasing in the corners of my eye area. That's where makeup really settles and is first noticeable for me at the end of the day. On both sides, I have a little bit of creasing in the crow's feet. On the Laura Mercier side, it's a little bit on the light side, like white lines, and on the Neutrogena side, it's more of a pink demarcation in the crow's feet. But not bad, not noticeable unless you really get into the mag light here. Along my marionettes, I don't see any settling. There is some wear along the nose area and along the cheeks, the wider part of the cheeks. And I did have an issue with my contact on the left side, so you may see some more wear under my left eye than you do under the right eye, but that's only because this contact was really bothering me today. Along the brow area, it's very similar. I think it's still held up really well. I think we actually have a dupe. I was checking along the chin line where I see pores. I don't see any difference left and right. I think in conclusion, the Neutrogena Healthy Skin Glow Shears is a great dupe for the Laura Mercier Light Revealer. Let me know in the comments if you agree. I always love to hear your recommendations. Thanks very much for watching and wishing you all a skintastic day.